this is a official statement on my position, opinion of Medicus Global. I do not, as a rule, do these types of things unless I am put in a particular situation. Years ago, for a couple of years, around 2001 to 2003, I owned a consumer advocacy group where I exposed online scams. It generally dealt with Ponzi schemes and investment things like that, and I ran that as a public service. And because I felt that people were being scammed out of ignorance, and if they knew certain things, that they would not be getting scammed. And over the course of the time that I was running it, I realized that a lot of people really don't care. They just want to believe the hype, and it doesn't matter. They're just going to believe the hype. And I was getting a lot of flack personally. I was being attacked by all these scammers who were making up all of this stuff about me to try to discredit me, which is what happens when you expose scammers. So I decided to shut the company down because it wasn't doing what it was intended to do. And over the years, since that time, I haven't done anything unless it was a scam where either somebody that I personally knew was scammed, or, that sort of thing, or where I was forced to come out and say something. Sometimes you get involved in a company, it starts out in a certain way, and then it changes direction, and you no longer are interested in promoting that company. I don't expect everybody to agree with me or anything like that, but, in a case like that, I may, let my downline know that I'm no longer promoting this company. But I generally don't do more than that unless the company comes out and does something that forces my hand. And of course, a lot of these people say that if Jennie Menn doesn't like your company, when she quits, she's going to destroy it. And that's actually not true either, unless, of course, it is a scam, and then that would be true. If people are legitimately being scammed, then I'm going to come out and let everyone know all the facts, present all the facts to them. That's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about me deciding to leave a company and then my hand being forced to come out and say why I left the company, where normally it's just a matter of, I'm not promoting that anymore. And that should be enough, because, you don't want to hurt the people that are promoting it. Just because you don't agree with it anymore doesn't mean, you want to go out and hurt those who are in there. But sometimes your hand gets forced when you're, a big public figure and somebody says something about you, then you're forced to defend yourself, and that's what this is about. So I was I didn't join in the pre-launch. I actually bought a position that was purchased during the pre-launch. I was in from the very, very beginning. There were a lot of promises made that were never fulfilled. We were told that the company was going to do millions of dollars in advertising, and that those people would spill under the people who had positions. Of course, that made a lot of people join the company, and that never, came to fruition until recently, until like the very end of August. I've paid my monthly fee every month. And because I also believe that as a consultant, as a business owner myself, I know that companies don't always, they have a plan and it sort of doesn't go the way that they think. And I don't call that an ethics issue. I don't call that, nobody knows the future except for God. And so I don't hold people to those types of things. While I did think that it was, and it's been a couple of years, you should have been able to get that done if that was in fact what you intended to do. And there's no talk of it anymore. And but again, I still, and I liked the product, even though I can't use the product. Another thing that we were told is this product's going to be available all over the world. It's going to start with 5 other countries and the list of the countries and all that. And that never panned out either. But again, it's one of those issues where you say, well, maybe the things that they were told didn't turn out to be that way. That kind of thing happens all the time. You can't fault a company for that. And while it's been 2 or 3 years, whatever, since they've been open, that I've been a member paying my fee, and nothing's really been delivered, I still believed in the product itself. And even though I couldn't use it myself, I was willing to pay for it monthly so it could go to a needy family. And that was telemedical services, where you don't got to go to the hospital if you're sick. You don't have to drag your other children to the hospital if one of your children is sick and expose them to diseases. I really liked that idea, and I really liked the idea of being able to help somebody to have that service who might not be able to afford it. I felt really good about that. So the fact that I was paying my monthly fee month after month didn't really bother me. And I did some advertising with it, but the sites, as my sponsor, mentioned to me, and I fully agreed with, and everybody was complaining about, the sites really didn't ever get to the point where they could actually market the product in the way that people market online. But again, I didn't have, those are just things that happen. It's part of the industry. I didn't hold the company responsible in any way. Then they started talking about these medications people could get for free that would be covered by their insurance, or tests that they could have, not really specific, and that we as distributors could make, and they've been talking about this for a few months now, we as distributors could make a huge amount of money by getting people who had these certain conditions to use the medication, or to have the test. And that sounded interesting to me. I thought, well, that's a good idea. But still, I'm a very, very busy person, and I was waiting really for this company before I did advertise. I'm not saying I didn't advertise. I own many websites, and I had advertising on all of them. I was actually promoting the program. I did have revenue allocated to advertise the program, while the results weren't very, very good. But I wasn't actively going out and talking to people about the company, because I felt it would be too much work, because I like companies where the company's doing most of the work and providing all the information, and I just have to answer questions. And I didn't feel that they were there. So then on the 26th of August, I received this email. I've left companies because they're violating the law, and while they haven't gotten in trouble for it, I don't want to continue down the road once I inform the company, you're violating the law. And if they don't go, oh, we didn't know that, I'm sorry, I'm just done, because I'm trying to build residual income in what I do. And if the company doesn't have a future because one day the government can come knocking on their door, then I don't want to have any part of that. So I got this email, because then you lose everything. And you wasted all that time, and I wasted my people's time, and I just, don't want to do that. So I received this email, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I want to read the key parts to the email, the parts of it that make the email illegal. This is from the company, and it says these key things. Do you want other people who join your team to be able to be paid 40% off of all their direct lab sales? Is it better to invest $7.99 to become a founding consultant than it is to invest $14.99? Now, this company cost like $50 a year to join, and then you paid for the product, which was like $35 or $39. So here all of a sudden there's this huge jump. We've been paying this amount for all this time, and now there's this huge jump, to where, what happens to all the people who can't afford even the $7.99? Do those people then go to their sponsor? I don't like to see things like this, but that's not the big issue. We get into what's illegal. But I want to keep reading these key points that they stated in this. Does it make sense to get all of the over-the-top matching bonuses on your business volume or not? Would someone be a little upset if they knew that, and here's some psychology here that I also don't agree with, that once they learned how excited they were about the opportunity, that they would have heard about it in August versus September, when some adjustments are made to the promotions, meaning I'm assuming that the price is going to go up to $14.99. Think about what would happen if you brought in 5 new founders the rest of the week and helped those 5 take full advantage of the special promotion to launch their profitable business. Would that earn you some good checks in September? Oh, yeah, in September. And then it says, we encourage you to ponder and think about things, and even think about things we have not brought to your attention. Then use these tips to help motivate your team and new recruits to make something spectacular happen during the last month of the summer. There are lots of people who can still upgrade and take full advantage of the time left. And then it says tip. Let your prospects know who may be tight on funds, but who may have room on a credit card. This is the illegal part. Who may have room on a credit card. That if they get into action for the following 30 days or billing cycle of their credit card, that they could have all of their investment paid back before their next credit card bill shows up. Essentially, they are getting a short loan, a short-term loan, and won't have to pay any interest fees if they get their Medicus paycheck before that time. Perception is reality, and your job is to help them believe. That's your job, to make them believe that they're going to make money and receive the money before their credit card bill comes. Now, what happens if that doesn't happen? Now I've put somebody who can't afford it into deeper debt, penalties on their credit card, and all of the other stuff. The perception is reality, and your job is to help them believe that they have the support and company behind them while they learn what it is they are doing to move forward. Leadership is the key to building your business. Mindset happens with the proper mind share. And so they're saying I should convey which is originally their thoughts. I should change their mind and cause them to go into debt and make them believe that they are going to make money. This is the type of thing, let me finish this sentence. And nothing can replace the good old hard work ethic that so many of you have. So, from the management of Medicus Global, we applaud all you are doing, and look forward to many happy faces when we close the books on August. Not to be cliche or anything, but what's in your wallet after August? And then it's copyrighted Medicus Global, all rights reserved. You're an active associate, gives their address. So, and again, this comes from the company. And this is my response to the company. Now, first off, for those of you that don't know, this statement, that this tip is an income claim and it is illegal under U.S. law, and this is a U.S. company. While they don't give a specific dollar amount, they do imply an amount. And what is the amount? It's a minimum of $799. The income claim is that it is a minimum, that they will make a minimum of $799 so that they pay no interest, according to this statement, and everything's hunky-dory. It's illegal. Not only is it illegal, only a scammer would do something like this, because you have no way of knowing what your person can do. You have no way of knowing who they know or how well they can convince people, or even if you were doing the calls for them, you have no way of knowing the people that they're going to talk to. If it's something that they're going to want you to talk to, you have no idea who they know, who their prospects are. There's no way for anyone to know that this money can be made in that time frame, and that's why they're illegal. Because people end up in debt because of this. Because of this type of thing. And to have it come out of a company, now marketers do this all the time. The government comes after them and they force the marketers to stop the people from doing it. You very rarely see a company actually do this. But again, another thing is, as far as I know, this company pays monthly. So if they're going to pay monthly, and your credit, we all know that your credit card statement comes out monthly, there's no way that this event can happen. And even if they got off the phone and signed up enough people to get the $799, these people who have no money to afford it, but have room on their credit card, as this statement says, wouldn't get the money in time to not pay any interest and fees, as the statement says. This is hugely unethical, and if it was reported to the government, they could be fined hugely. They could even be shut down for a specific period of time while they were under investigation. And for all those people promoting the business, that means that everybody stops paying their payments, and then if they're allowed to open back up, then you got to go back to these people and say, oh, we're back, come back and set up your subscription again and start paying again. So my response, this really made me mad, knowing that this was also going to my downline, people who joined the company based on my recommendation. So this was my response, to which I never received a reply, which is also another thing quite common from the company. But this type of statement should have warranted a reply, because, you know, my message to them should have warranted a reply. This is not a regular support ticket type thing. To whom it may concern, I'm deeply disturbed by the message, as someone who has been with this company from the beginning and waiting years on unfulfilled promises and very little delivered. I am a founding member. I paid my monthly fee every month, and it seems that now it was for nothing, because this email violates the laws of the industry, which tells me your days are numbered. Pay to make more money. It's also a big a big area, and that is what they said. That was the first line of their points, is that if you pay this fee, you'll make more money. More money, okay? And so again, it's not a product. You're not buying a product. But anyways, that's not the education on MLM law is not the entire purpose of this video. Pay to make more money, and an income claim, which is illegal. Not only that, but you are requesting that your members break the law by making the income claim to others. Joining your company was a huge mistake, and it is companies like yours who make it so difficult for legitimate companies to succeed, because people have been burned many times by companies like yours, or build a company only to watch it get shut down for breaking the law, as you are here. I am beyond disappointed in this mess of a business opportunity you call Medicus Global. I have no choice but to inform my few people left, because most everybody quit, that following your advice could end them up in legal trouble. An absolute fact. And I feel it's my responsibility as the person who brought them into the company to go, what they're doing is illegal, and if you do it, you are also breaking the law, because under U.S. law, ignorance of the law is no excuse, which means that if you break the law, you can't go, I didn't know. It's not a defense under U.S. law. So I felt it was my moral obligation to let them know not to do what they were instructing people to do. So that I sent to them on 11:21 a.m. on August 26th. As I said, in this time I've gotten no response. However, I did get this. On August 26th at 11:29, rather quickly, 8 minutes. I wouldn't presume to think that one triggered the other, but it's possible, because it's only 8 minutes. That's pretty fast action. And at that time in the U.S., it would be after, I would be really, really early in the morning, after hours. So I get this message from Nigel in London. Would like to add you on Skype. Now, as you can see, it doesn't say, nor does it say anywhere. My Skype account uses my pen name, which is the Turkish spelling. The first part is the Turkish spelling of my name in English, which would be pronounced Jennie, which is my name. So, because I own a company, however, people are instructed that if they want some type of personal help with the company, we do have a room, and that for them to add me on Skype. And so those people will add me on Skype, and the very first thing that I want to find out is, why are they contacting me? Are they from my company? And if so, then I add them to the room. So I accepted the request, and I said, hello, Nigel, how do you know me? Which is what I do with everyone. And he responds, we met before, you were presenting to me at length. Will you have a moment later today? Now, he's in England. I'm trying to figure out how I possibly could have been presenting to him at length, unless, of course, he's a leader in my company, or knows a leader in my company who I spoke to on a 3-way call, because I have spoke to leaders over Skype, but it doesn't require us to be contacts. So then he gives me his link, which goes to a Facebook page. And of course I'm being polite and saying, yeah, oh, I thought so, but I mean, Nigel in London, I mean, Nigel's a pretty common British name. It really doesn't tell me anything, but I didn't want to be rude and go, I have no idea who you are. So since he said that if in fact I had presented to him in length, as he said, it would have meant he was a leader in one of my companies, because I don't just do that for anybody. I don't have the time to do that. I do a lot of recordings and conference calls that people can listen to, but I don't generally speak to anybody who's not a leader, because I'm a very busy person. So he's leading me to believe that we have spoken. What he should have said, what the proper thing to say is, I am your upline in Medicus Global. That would have been the proper thing to say, because he and I have never spoken about Medicus Global. The only person I've ever spoken to from the company, quote unquote, is my sponsor. It's the only person I've ever spoken to about this company. And of course people in my downline. And he's not in my downline. I know that. So I said, yeah, I'll have time. I have in a few hours. So then we speak at 14:38. That's when I find out he's my upline in Medicus Global, that he is in fact the master distributor. And while I fully expected at that time to get an email back going, we're deeply sorry, that was a mistake, they should have never said that, I don't know who wrote that, we will send a correction to all the members so they don't do that. That was what I was expecting based on what I sent to them. But it was still early in the day, and of course they wouldn't have even been up by now to even get my message. At least would make sense that that was the case. So he starts telling me that the company has this new thing where I can get paid $500 for every single person that I get to take a free test. And I said, yeah, I heard some about it. And he mentioned to me, he says, we have that test that Angelina, and I didn't cut him off. He says, we have that test that Angelina Jolie had. We have a test that tests for birth defects, sickle cell anemia, and some other diseases, was what he said to me, in early detection. And I said, so and you're basically collecting people's DNA. And he goes, yeah, there's a DNA test, and they just swirl stuff around in their mouth, and they send it in, and we get paid $500 for that. And I said, at that point, things had changed. I said, thank you, I'm not interested. And he said, why? He goes, you can make a lot of money, and you can even see that he's posted down here what he's saying that I can make. You can make $10,000 a day. And I corrected him, and I said, oh, no. If I believed in what you were doing at $500 a person, I could make a heck of a lot more money than this. But I have no intention of doing your company, of marketing your product anymore, even what I was marketing, because I'm morally opposed to what you're doing. And he said, why? I said, I'm morally opposed to collecting people's DNA. I do not think it's right. They're getting, the fact is that they're gathering way too much information on us, and these massive databases of people's DNA can in fact hurt them. As I've said for years, be careful what you post post on Facebook because it's going to come back and bite you. And now today, people are losing their jobs. People are not getting jobs. All of these things based on, people have even been tied to terrorists because they liked something on Facebook. So they're like, oh, there was a terrorist because they liked, something on Facebook. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Was it a picture of a kitten? What did he like? What did this person like? And so it's dangerous. But this type of information is very, very, very valuable, and that's why they gather it, because there's all these companies that are willing to buy this data, your personal conversations, where you go online, and all this other stuff. But DNA goes much, much farther than that. Much farther. Because it basically, so who buys that data? Well, insurance companies who want to see whether or not they should insure somebody. Even companies about whether or not they should employ somebody. If somebody has, a predisposition to a disease, well, the company who's paying for their insurance certainly doesn't want to hire them. There's just this long, nasty road that this can come down. And for me, it's a privacy issue. Also, Angelina Jolie had a double mastectomy and had her ovaries and fallopian tubes removed because of the test that he mentioned. She didn't have cancer. This test claimed that she could develop it in the future, that she had a high chance of it. You know what? For all the people, let's say it's 85%, I think they said, her doctor said, she had an 85% chance of developing it. The 15% that don't get cancer, their chance of not getting it was 100% because they didn't get it. As far as sickle cell anemia, you can Google this yourself. A test that shows that an infant in vitro has sickle cell anemia. There is no treatment for it. The treatment is to abort the fetus. What if the test's wrong? Okay? And tests are wrong all the time. Okay? I don't want to be associated. I don't want to learn one day that somebody had a radical mastectomy, removed all their female organs because of something I led them to, or aborted their child. I don't ever want to do that. That goes way beyond the scope of what I'm doing marketing products in the MLM industry. That goes way beyond. But I didn't go into all of this with Nigel. I just told him I have moral objections to collecting people's data or helping collecting people's data. He attempted 5 times after that to convince me that I know about these certain things and stuff like that, but the way that I look at it, things are going to go bad. He mentioned microchipping people and stuff like that, and I want to get as much money as I can make before that happens so I can take care of me and mine, which struck me very, very odd. Like, so are you essentially saying that you agree with what I'm saying, but because of the money you're willing to do it anyways? I found that very, very disturbing, but I was very polite and I didn't say anything. Again, as I said, he attempted 5 more times to convince me of how much money I made and that I should go against my moral beliefs and do it anyways. I was very polite, made him understand that that was not going to happen, and the conversation ended. So yesterday I got a very, very disturbing, confusing message from one of my employees, somebody who's worked for me for 10 years. I've taken some key parts out of it because it was really long, and didn't want to read it all to you because most of it didn't make any sense. She was clearly off of her game. She was totally frazzled based on what I was reading. And I just didn't want to post all of that because in case it ever comes out who this person is. I don't, wanted to keep this as private of what our conversation was as possible. But these things. So in yellow I put what she wrote in, and in purple I put, or whatever color that is, what I said to her. She said, "Hi Jenny, I've had some disturbing news to tell you about. I had a conversation with Nigel," that's the same person, Nigel in London, MG, standing for Medicus Global, "about 3 hours ago on Skype via IM, only because I told him I was having audio problems when he tried calling me, which is true, but at the same time I did not want to talk to him on the phone through Skype with him anyway. He called me on my cell phone on Saturday. He came up as restricted 2 times, so the 3rd time he called, I got curious and answered the call." Now this is what I want to point out here is, how did he get her cell phone number? How did he get my Skype information when he's not my sponsor? I don't know him. I found this to be very, and as both of us found out, he's the master distributor for the company. And while most people aren't considered representatives of the company, the master distributor is considered representative of the company, meaning they speak for the company, they have full access and connection to the company. The company endorses everything that they say, essentially. They are their master distributor. They are the one that brings the marketing to the people. So she said, he called my cell phone on Saturday. He came up restricted 2 times, and so on the 3rd time I called, I got curious and answered the call. I told him I was on my way out and we could talk later on Skype, and so I agreed. I asked him if he was still in the company, and he said, "I am certainly not." But now he is. Again, as he tricked me into talking to him, he's also tricked her into talking to him, going, "Oh, no, in case she heard his name from me, right? Because she doesn't know who he is." So she asked, "Are you still with the company?" And he says, "I am certainly not." Then she says, "But now he is. Something about new developments this morning, and Carol is full on board, as he said on Skype just a little while ago. I am so confused and irritated that he removed everything he said from our conversation. He must have thought I would be sharing all of it with you, word for word. He is guilty as sin now and apparently has something to hide." So I read this message and I'm like, what on earth is she talking about? It's almost like she's talking as if I have some sort of background on what it is that she's talking about. And so then she says, "Long story short, I went back over to his contact name and he removed everything he said, which was about the labs, making $500, and one part in particular about how excited," and then I removed that person's name for privacy reasons, "was about being back on board, and that he was doing 3-way calls for her and could do the same for me. And in the beginning he said, 'Did you know that Jennie Menn doesn't want One World to have her DNA?'" Now that statement really made me mad because it sounds very sinister. Now they weren't talking on the phone, they were talking through Skype. Who knows where the conversation would have went at that point. But why is this person making a statement that, one, isn't true? First off, I'm a U.S. veteran. The government already has my DNA, okay? And I never said that I had a problem with giving my DNA to the government. I do, but I never said that. I said I had a problem with helping them to collect, anybody to collect their DNA. I also had no idea at this point who One World even was, but the statement is very true. While I never said it to him, it definitely is true. I do have a problem with One World, whoever the heck they are, having my data, my DNA, sorry, which again is the most intimate of data. And she says, sorry to bother you. I was just about to do some cooking when discovered this, and so I needed to get it off my mind and let you know right away rather than wait until later on. It's late enough for you there as it is. So she's really frazzled, and like I said, more of, I just took out key points, more of it, but she was just like totally, like rambling all over the place, which is not like her at all, just jumping from point to point, and she was very, very upset by this call. I said, why did my name even come up? As far as the rest of your message, it makes no sense to me. I don't want anyone having my DNA. So what? That's irrelevant. So you are saying he is not with GM anymore. Would that not be good news? Sorry, I'm not really following any of this. Because I wasn't. Just that part that I've shown you, I wasn't following it. But I took a lot more out that just, I should have never picked up the phone, but as I said, he called twice as a restricted caller on Saturday, and so I thought it was important enough to pick up on the third call and talk to whoever it was so I could get rid of them. But it turned out not to be. I did not know what I was getting into. I thought he was going to share something with me about Medicus that would warn me to stay away from them, but he did not. He said on Skype that he tried emailing me about the deadline to become HIPAA certified to do the labs September 7th. So that's what it was centered around. Come to find out, I never got anything from him, which might have been a lie to begin with. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I don't know why he started talking about you first. I never initiated anything, which was strange to me. Yeah, it's a very stupid thing to do, to badmouth to say, to even bring up another person that has nothing to do with the conversation. In my opinion, by saying Jennie doesn't want One World to have her DNA, is like saying, did you know? It's gossip. Did you know she doesn't want them to have her DNA? Like I'm hiding something. Like it's a very sinister accusation. You know what I'm saying? Like it implies a lot. So, and then thought I should let you know. That's all, nothing more. It was totally insane of him, though, to remove everything he said to me in our Skype conversation earlier this afternoon. He can't be trusted. So, and even of the stuff she did tell me, she didn't really go into the things that, whatever the heck he said, that freaked her out to the point that she got all befuzzled and was just, he can't be trusted, he's, this kind of thing. Then, yes, he was saying he was not with GM over the phone, but then he turned around and offers me three-way support. Very odd behavior. So if he's not with GM when he's talking to her on the phone, why is he calling her to begin with? If he was involved in another company, for example, if he was telling the truth and is no longer with GM, to get contact information from another company of other people's personally sponsored people to market something else to them is so wrong. And he said, and he sponsored, again, that name is removed. He said he was the master distributor under the company. I'm so glad I did not talk to him voice to voice over Skype today, and I never want to speak to him ever again. So clearly a lot more happened than what she's let me know. But again, she was all over the place, and when somebody's all freaked out like that, it's kind of it gets frustrating to have a conversation, to try to figure out, what it is. I figured once she calmed down, she would be able to enlighten me more. I said, do you have a problem with me saying to him, what the heck are you doing, mentioning my name to people? He had some nerve. She said, yes, Jennie, I'm sorry, but it was an awful experience for me. So again, he was real pushy sounding over the phone, especially with that British accent. I am totally done with them after today. And okay, thanks for letting me know. You're welcome. Actually, that okay, thanks for letting them know was me. And she said, you're welcome. And then I asked, thank you for letting me know, though. Again, I said, I would not have responded to him or anyone from... No, I said, thanks for letting me know, though. I would not respond to him or anyone from the company, as they are likely to try to contact you again by the time I get done with them. Because, yeah, you don't go to my downline and badmouth me after I go to company. And I hadn't, even sent an email to my downline about the matter. I was giving the company the opportunity to recant what they had done and had not taken action, a next step. And then, of course, when he, came in and said all of that, I wasn't going to go to my downline and just say, don't join this company because it's horrible and they're doing all of this stuff, because people can do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? As far as the illegal things that they said, then yeah, that had they, not responded after a certain period of time, then yeah, I would have had to tell them, don't do this, it'll get you in trouble. I wouldn't have said it as aggressively as I said it to them. I was trying to make a point to them. But I would have said, you're not allowed, this, which you're not allowed to make income claims, and you can get in trouble for doing it. And she said, you're welcome. Yes, I fully intend not to. Don't worry. I will not be messed with or intimidated. So apparently he was intimidating her. I will avoid them at all costs. Thank you, Jennie. A lot of times when you go bad-mouthing people, you better make sure that when you're bad-mouthing to strangers that you know the relationship to the person that you're... As again I said, this is somebody who's worked for me for 10 years. And then I said, what is One World anyways? And did he say any more about me or just that one sentence? She said, oh, this should be her too. I have no idea. Yes, it was only that one sentence, nothing more. I never said anything, so this should be in yellow except for that first line. Then this is me again. I never said anything of the sort, and it sounded very sinister, like I'm hiding something. His statement of, did you know that Jennie doesn't want her One World to have her DNA? If you're going to gossip about somebody to somebody you don't even know is just, I said, I want nothing to do with collecting, this is what I told her that I told him, collecting anyone's DNA for anyone, for any reason, or helping people get tests that could lead them into getting abortions or mutilating their body because some test says that they could get a disease in the future. This is just plain evil in my book, and is no way anything no way has anything to do with what I signed up for. And she said, oh, he did say after that one sentence, are you aware of that? So when and I said, no, I'm not. Yes, you're right, very sinister, evil, and I had a bad feeling from all this stuff since today. Things don't seem right at all, and they certainly don't add up. So when she didn't respond to his statement of, he put out that bait and when she didn't take it, of, starting to gossip about how I don't want my DNA, to give my DNA to One World, which I never even knew the reality is that's me giving my DNA to One World would not, or to Medicus. I'm making money getting other people's DNA, right? That's the premise. So my objection to it wouldn't be that, I don't know, the whole thing is very, very convoluted. So that's the part that I took out. So then out of curiosity, I was like, who the heck is One World? Based on his statement. So I Googled them. And I put in One World in DNA. And I got this. And it's the only company that I came up with that had any relationship to DNA collection. As you can see here in the pictures, DNA, RNA, nucleoway, TM, molecular cloning. Okay? So what this company does is it clones DNA. Another thing that I'm hugely against. I'm hugely against Monsanto's. I'm hugely against any kind of cloning. And as a free human being of this planet, I have every right to my opinion. So, but this right here, that this was one of the companies that we would be getting people's DNA to give it to, and that it had to do with cloning, which I didn't know at the time, the conversation that I had with him, is also very disturbing to me. Now we go back to Myriad, the company that, as you can see here, Myriad Genetics, while he mentioned Angelina Jolie, he said one of the tests is the test that Angelina Jolie had. That's how he presented it to me. And I was already familiar with the fact that she had done this to herself, that the company made a fortune when she came out and announced it. Just I was very aware of this. But what I was not aware of, when I went to do some more research, is that Myriad Genetics, see, it says Myriad Genetics holds patents on Angelina Jolie's genes. Now this was published in 2013, and at the time they did, but that was overruled, and they were saying that because you can't patent something that God created, that's how, you got to create it. And so there was this big lawsuit and this big, advocacy groups going, they can't hold the patent on this because they didn't create it, and that was end up being upheld. And why is that such an important issue for these advocacy groups, that they not be able to do this? Because while they claim to want to help people, what them holding the patent would mean is that doctors, researchers, nobody could touch this kind of cancer, breast cancer, or they could all be pulled back to this patent. That the children that have this marker, that they would actually own they would own the children because the DNA is within the children. So, and just this whole thing, you can Google it yourself and read all of the things why everybody was really, really upset about it. And I totally am against this type of thing, because you got all these people trying to raise money for breast cancer and all this other stuff. This essentially puts a stop to it. Now they did get, which I don't agree that they should, and I hope these advocacy groups do not stop and void the patent that they do hold, which is on the cDNA for these two genetic markers. And I'm not going to go into genetics to explain what that, but that still has that same effect, but not the whole effect. But again, by allowing companies to patent things that God made that are within our body, what it does is it could completely shut down any kind of research from any competing company, drive up the cost of medical testing, medical treatments, because one company owns the monopoly on those genes. And for example, if they patented the gene that makes brown eyes, everybody with those patents, those private corporations would have some sort of ownership in those people. And this is what this company attempted to do by holding the patent on these two pieces of DNA, I guess, is the simplest way to get you to understand. It was not something that they created. It was something that God created. It was an indicator under them that that this is what caused the cancer. Okay. So they want to patent those genes because they're the ones that discovered it. Another thing was that if they were able to hold that patent, it would also mean that if somebody had this test, they couldn't go to somebody else and get a second opinion, because no one would legally be able to give them a second opinion. No one would be able to even broach, or it would be illegal and they could get sued to do it. So these are the reasons that I am morally opposed to what Medicus Global is doing. I would have never made this video if the master distributor of the company had not gone out and tried to start gossip that would lead to the maligning of me. So that, I guess, if a big leader leaves and you want to get their money out of their people, you got to make them look bad, right? I guess that's how things are done. I don't know. But because those events have happened, this is my official statement. If the question ever comes up, why did Jennie Menn leave Medicus? You now have all of the facts, if you care to know. It's not like I'm going to go market this video, but I have to defend my position, because as I said, these are moral issues for me. I'm very, very against this type of thing, and I don't want anybody to be led to believe that I support it, or that I don't support it for a reason that isn't true. Like, I don't want One World to have my DNA. Yes, it's true. I don't want them to have my DNA, but I could just simply not give it to them, and there would be no issue. Because there's lots of companies that that collect people's DNA. There's makeup companies and vitamin companies and all these companies, and I don't give them my DNA. But to come out and say it like that in a sinister way is what prompted this video. So now you know. Thanks. Have a great day. And like I said, I'm not trying, what anybody does with this company is up to them. We all believe different things, and, people believe different things about these subjects, about cloning and all that other stuff. That is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video was gossip was started about me to who knows how many people. I know for a fact because that person has contacted me. I do know other people in my downline. When I question them, are you getting calls from that I know that don't answer their phone when unregistered calls call? Tell me, yes, I am getting them. And I don't know how many have been reached. So this is simply, here's all the facts. If you want to know my opinion, watch the video. If you don't watch the video. That's the whole purpose, to allow me to speak for myself instead of the gossip that's coming out of the company that I'm no longer with. All right, so thanks. Have a great day.